Let's first look at this. Total registered voters in Tanzania are 37.6 million voters. Samia Suluhu has been declared the winner by garnering about 31 million votes. Total registered voters are 37.6. Samia Suluhu has been declared the winner by garnering about 31 million votes. So it means even if all those other presidential candidates were on the ballot, Samia Suluhu could have still won that election with a landslide. And I'm saying that assuming that what has been announced are the accurate figures as to how Tanzanians voted. But we all know that election was not very fair. So we cannot say authoritatively that Samia Suluhu could have still won that election. It's also not to be forgotten that Chama cha Mapinduzi is the most dominant political party in Tanzania. And again, naturally, in a free fair election, CCM's candidate or CCM would automatically win. It's a very complicated situation in Tanzania. We are also getting some reports that fresh protests have erupted as a result of Samia Suluhu being declared the president, but that will form the basis of our next analysis. In this video right now, I want us to listen to Tanzania's Foreign Affairs Minister as he spoke about the current political situation in the country. Listen to this before we proceed.
Okay, why was the internet shut down?
The internet, because internet, when we tried to open also, it created a havoc among small groups of vandalists who are creating problems in the vandalism. So they were using their main communication media was the internet.
Can you really say that this is a free and fair election when even communication itself is very difficult at this time?
We provided all the observers with alternative methods of communication in the country. So the communication with the observers is going on, and they are going also to stipulate and state that clearly in their report that they are communicating, and there were alternatives which were given for communication to flow and information exchange.
The problem with this internet shutdown is that it's hard to verify what's true and what's not true coming out of Tanzania. I mean, let me ask you this. There are reports that hundreds of people have died and have been injured over the last 3 days. Can you categorically say how many have been injured or have lost their lives over the last 3 days, Minister?
At the moment, nobody can state how many were injured, how many suffered, or how many properties were burnt. We are continuing to receive also the reports of the vandalized properties, private properties, including several regions of Tanzania. We are collecting that information. Some of the border posts, some of Tanzania Revenue Authority, some of the police posts, some of public properties, public cars, some of TANESCO, which is our electricity supply company, cars were burnt. We are continuing to receive those reports. At the moment, nobody can accumulate all those numbers and say until all the data and figures are in place.
The UN is saying 10 people have lost their lives. Chadema says it could be up to 700.
Well, at the moment, I'm reading as you are reading, but let's wait for the right authorized information to be out.
Whenever elections are held, the call or the aim is to have them dubbed as free and fair. There are numerous allegations that the 2025 elections were neither free nor fair, and one of them is cited on the fact that major opposition candidates were excluded. How do you respond to that?
No major candidate was excluded. The candidate who excluded themselves is by not signing the code of conduct for participating in the election, and this is as per the law. I, as a minister, also had to sign that code of conduct, maadili. It's called fomu ya maadili. If you don't sign that, you cannot become a minister.
So the declaration of results will happen on Saturday. You can confirm that?
Yes, on Saturday it will happen.
Okay. Well, last night the army was deployed in Dar es Salaam following the protests that erupted. What's the state of Dar es Salaam today?
Dar es Salaam is very, very peaceful. I've been around today a lot. The restrictions is between 6 p.m. in the evening to 6 a.m. in the morning. And that restriction is you have to have a reason when you go out in order to maintain the peace in the country. But during the day, everybody is free to continue with their own work.
When will the internet be back on?
Hopefully, we are all looking forward for it to be back, but at least by tomorrow.
Let's put that into perspective. If you are watching us but you are not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's proceed. The minister is trying to explain the situation in Tanzania. He has been asked why the government switched off the internet. He has also been asked about the total number of deaths that have occurred in Tanzania. I don't know what you think about his remarks. Do you agree with what he has said? Let me say this. Any government that becomes brutal on its people, that's a moribund government. That's a government nearing its collapse. If indeed it's true, about 700 Tanzanians were killed by that regime, then let me say this without any fear of contradiction, that we might be staring at a near collapse of Chama cha Mapinduzi, CCM. For decades, CCM has dominated politics in Tanzania. And just as I've been explaining here, in a free, fair election, chances were very high CCM was still going to win in that election. But it's very unfortunate that Samia Suluhu decided to go rogue. And because of her political mistakes, she has indeed brought a serious embarrassment not only to CCM, but to the entire world. Tanzania has been a very peaceful country. There are some lessons other leaders in Africa should borrow from what is happening in Tanzania. Don't suppress your political opponents to a point they don't have any escape route. Yes, push your opponents, but leave them an escape route. In Tanzania, Samia Suluhu had pushed the people to the wall. That's why we have seen Tanzanians on the streets. They had no escape route. There is also a lesson Kenyans should also learn from Tanzania. Tanzanians made a mistake by not going out to vote. Instead, they took to the streets on the voting day. If only they could have converted those protests into votes, it could have made more meaning than currently it is. And I did explain that in the event 80% of Tanzanians rejected Mama Samia Suluhu, it could have been very difficult for her to rig such an election. If, let's say, Tanzanians went to cast their votes, and then those who turned out to vote, 80% rejected Mama Samia Suluhu, it could have been very difficult of her to rig that election. So Tanzanians, from where I sit, made a blunder by not casting their votes. Instead, they went out protesting. They ought to have protested some months back. They ought not to have allowed Samia Suluhu block all her political opponents. That's what Kenyans should learn from Tanzania. We've seen Kenyans saying they don't want Ruto. The only way they will prove they don't want Ruto is if they will turn out in their millions come the next election. Let them reject William Ruto squarely on the ballot. And again, just as I've explained, if let's say 70 to 80% of all Kenyans who will turn out to vote rejects Ruto, it will be very difficult of Ruto to rig that election. The secret is in numbers, turning out in large numbers and making sure you cast your votes. Normally, what these regimes do, they use the numbers that have not voted to steal the elections. If large numbers turns out to vote, there will be less to manipulate the vote. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's meet in our next analysis. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya.